Hi everyone, Lee Packett here, and you are watching The Business of Law, the only web TV show focusing on the challenges and the opportunities faced in the legal profession. We're talking social media today. I'm happy to say my guest is Guy Alvarez. He's the founder of Good to Be Social, a consulting firm that specializes in getting law firms and other organizations up to speed on social media. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Lee. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to start this off by throwing a curveball. Who in this space, when we're talking about big law firms, who does social media well? Are there any players out there that do this well?
Well, there's not many, quite frankly. No one's doing it really well, but I would say out of the AmLaw 100, I would say DLA Piper is probably the one that's doing the best job. And I think that's partially due to the size of the firm, the many resources they have together, and the person leading their social media efforts is pretty sophisticated. So I would say they would be the number one.
So I'm gonna out you here. You're basing that answer on a study that you recently put out. I think it's up on your website, available for public consumption, kind of examining how law firms are starting to use social media in 2014 relative to 2013. Can you talk to us a little bit about the study, how you put it together, and what were some of the bright line findings?
Sure. So this is the second year we've done this study. We did it last year. We only took a look at the AmLaw 50. This year we expanded it to the AmLaw 100. Last year we also did the top 100 UK firms. So we also looked at how they were doing with regards to social media. We've seen in terms of activity and the number of firms using social media and the activity around it, we've seen a significant uptick. But unfortunately, what we're seeing is they still don't quite understand how to use the medium. They're really using it primarily as another PR channel to distribute their news, their awards, their events, but they're not really developing, or at least not publishing through social media, really client-centric, engaging content.
Right, and it's tough to figure out methodology for studies like these. It's kind of like finding or rating performance at a cocktail party. It's an inherently subjective endeavor.
Well, what we did from a methodology perspective, we had two different inputs in the methodology. First of all, is we looked at the law firm websites in terms of the content that was there. Is the content client-centric, value-type content, or is it what we call just merely promotional content? Law firms talking about themselves and that kind of stuff. Then we looked at, okay, out of that content that's there, is it easy to share, or is it all in PDFs? PDFs are not shareable, and unfortunately most law firms are putting any valuable content, their client alerts, et cetera, in PDFs, so that's not really valuable. And then what we did is we looked at their social media properties. And there we saw their reach, so how many people they had, how many followers, how many people within their networks. And then we looked at engagement, which is really, from my perspective, the most important piece of social media. Engagement meaning, are people retweeting, mentioning, sharing, commenting on your content? Because at the end of the day, social is about getting it out there to as many people as possible, but also people that care about what you're building and care about what you're writing about.
One of the most interesting takeaways from this report, of course, was that the biggest of big law firms tends to do this stuff better than others. I kind of think that's almost a counterintuitive conclusion. I would have thought that smaller firms would be out there taking more risks, taking more time getting to know how to use something like Twitter, and just not having the internal politics that sometimes can gum up social media efforts. Why do you think the biggest firms are doing this better than others?
So we had three different types of rankings in our study: overall, reach, and engagement. When you look at overall and you look at reach, certainly the top biggest firms are doing the most, and that's, I think, primarily due to the number of attorneys they have and the number of staff they have on board. Also, a firm like DLA is very entrepreneurial, so they don't have the same type of internal politics that a lot of other firms have. However, when you look at engagement, DLA is not at the top. And you see firms like, for example, like a Mintz Levin, which is all the way at the bottom from an AmLaw 100 ranking. They're very close to the top on engagement. Same thing with Fish and Richardson. So it's much smaller boutique firms have understood that to really succeed in social media, it all starts and ends with content, and having that really good, engaging content is what's going to make a difference.
So you've had a long career engaging in these issues with clients. How does social media for professional service firms, law firms in particular, differ, say, from Fortune 500 companies like Frito-Lay?
I would say the legal industry is way behind. Obviously, comparing consumer product goods companies with professional service firms, it's like apples to oranges. And in the CPG industries, they're doing a lot. They're spending a lot of money. They're doing a lot in terms of monitoring and really figuring out the value that they're getting out of their activity. Professional service firms outside of law, the big accounting firms, the big consulting firms, they're putting a lot of effort into their content marketing, and as a result, they're seeing substantial results out of their efforts. When it comes to law, for whatever reason, they're dragging behind. I think it's a lack of education and a lack of understanding of what the true value of the medium really is.
Are the departments, the workforce is dedicated to this kind of activity? Is it starting to emulate more as it is in Fortune 500 companies, or have they not even really gotten around to forming social media staffs at these firms?
We're seeing more and more firms hiring either full-time or dedicating at least a part-time resource only to social media or digital marketing in a sense.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, a lot of times these people don't really have the understanding of how the business of law works and how it can really be married with digital marketing. So they either have one or the other, but they don't really understand both.
When do you think the first time a big law firm is going to use something like a meme on social media? When do you see something like that happening? And if you were to guess today, which firm would be the one to do it?
Well, I think it's just a matter of time, and I think it'll happen this year. I think it's more likely that it'll be a UK firm because they seem to be more experimental. So from like Allen & Overy, perhaps, I think could be a good candidate for that. Or maybe one of the more social media savvy firms like Mofo, for example. I could see them doing something in the short term.
Or Dentons, just because they're doing so many different things out there these days. I wouldn't be surprised to see them.
Possibly.
Guy, fascinating stuff. Thank you for coming in and talking to us, and come back and talk to us soon.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
That's Guy Alvarez, founder of Good to Be Social. If you'd like to see more of the stuff we're working on, be sure to go check us out online. You can find us at memesiswebtv.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm Lee Pacchia. Thanks for watching.